Okay, we talked about when we read the story that this week we're talking about problem and solution in Unit 5, Week 4. And if we go into our reading workbook, the U-Turn book, and we get out the story, it's on page 251. Tear it out and then fold it in half. And the name of the story is Dad's Game. So we know that one of the characters in the story is going to be Dad. And we're talking about a game. Now remember, we're talking about problem and solutions. So let's look at the problems and the solutions they might have in the story. Howie and Dad have a long ride home. I don't like the bus ride, said Howie. It is so boring. Okay, what's the problem they have here? Well, first of all, who are the characters? They're Howie and Dad. And what's the setting? They're getting on a bus. And what is the problem here? Howie doesn't like the bus ride because it is boring. Okay, let's see if they find a solution and what steps they take to find the solution. We can play a game, Dad said. Don't look and guess where we are. I will give clues. Howie didn't look. Okay, so what step did Dad take to solve the problem? Well, he decided to play a game. And what is that game? That it's a guessing game. Guess where they are according to the clues. Okay, let's see how it works. This will make Howie not be bored. I see swings and a slide, said Dad. Where are we now? It's the town park. Wow, shouted Howie. Okay, so is the game working? It seems like it. How do you know that it's working? What does Howie say? He says, wow. So you know that when you say wow, that's probably because you are enjoying it. They played some more. Then Dad said, you can look now. We are back at our brown house. That wasn't boring at all, said Howie. So did Dad find the solution? Okay, what was the problem? Howie was bored on the trip. What steps did Dad take? He suggested playing a game, a guessing game. And the solution was that it wasn't boring at all. So Dad was able to solve the problem. So let's look in your book on page 253. We read the story, Dad's Game. And once again, we're going to write problem or step to a solution or solution below on each. So this time we're writing one of three things. What is the problem? What is the step to the solution? And what is the solution? Okay, Howie and Dad have a long ride home. Is that the problem, the step to the solution, or the solution? Well, it is the problem, isn't it? So we write the word problem neatly. Make sure the P stays below the dotted line. R with the stick. O starting from below the line and up and touch the line. B, stick first, whole circle. L, a tall letter. E, touching both of the lines. And M with a stick. Up, curve down, up, curve down. Okay, Dad says we can play a game. Is that the problem? No. Is that the solution? No. Is it a step to a solution? Yes. So that's a long thing to write. Let's just write step. So make your S, T, E touching the lines, and P. It is just a step to the solution. Okay, we are back at our brown house, said Dad. So is that the problem? No. Is it a step to the solution? No. Then it must be the solution. They got back to the house. So Dad was able to get Howie to ride the bus, and they got home. And we're writing solution, making sure our letters touch the lines, and that we write neatly. Okay, last one. You can read this with a partner. Read it a couple of times. Time yourself a minute. See how many words you get. take off for the words that you missed. Okay, we're also going to turn to page 258. So we are at page 253. We need to go to page 258. On page 258, we're doing the same thing. We're looking for. Just think about how the author used problem and solution. Use the word problem or solution to complete the sentence. Okay, number one, on page 1, the author tells us about a blank Howie has. A problem he has or a solution. So on page 1, it's telling us about his problem. Howie and Dad have a long ride home. I do not like the bus ride, said Howie. It is boring. So that is their problem. And we write the word problem. Oops, went down to, I'm going to go back there and erase that. Make sure the O touches both lines. B, the stick first, and then a whole circle. L's tall letter. E touching both lines. Stick, up and down, up and down. Okay, on page 2, the author tells us about dads. So on page 2, Dad says we can play a game. Don't look and guess where we are. I will give clues. So is Dad talking about a problem or a solution? Well, he's given a solution here. So be careful and look at the word and write the word correctly. Make sure your O touches both lines. Tall L. The U has a stick on it. Tall T. I stays below the dotted line, a dot above. O touches both lines. N has a stick, and then up and down. Okay, use clues the author gives to answer the questions. What is Howie's problem? So we said the problem was on page 1. So what's his problem? He does not like the bus ride. So we're going to write he, capital H. He, whoops, I went too long. He, space, does. Make sure you put a whole circle. Then the stick for the D. O touching the line. He does. Space, not. Space, like. Make sure your letters touch the line. I'm gonna have to make my letters skinny because I'm running out of room. Use space between the words though. Bus. Ride. Still leave space between your words. Went a little bit over, but that's okay. And a period. Okay, how is Howie's problem solved? Okay, so how is it problem solved? What do they do? Dad suggests they play the game, and they do. So they play the game, or they play a game. So the word they, remember we should know how to spell it by now. T-H-E-Y. They play a game. Okay, that doesn't have 4 or 5 words. Let's add another word. They play a game together. That way we have a nice long sentence. And a period at the end. Okay, and the last one, how does the solution help? Well, how did it help playing the game? What did Howie say at the end? He says, that wasn't boring at all. So, how does it help? How does the solution help? Howie isn't bored. And how do we spell Howie? Well, we look on the paper. It tells us on the paper how to spell Howie. Sometimes we get lazy and we don't want to look back at our paper, but that's the best way to be able to write things correctly. Howie isn't, space between your words. Here we have the contraction. We write the first word is, we put the N, we pop out the O, so we put an apostrophe to show we popped out the O. Isn't, space, bored. And if we don't know how to spell bored, but we know that or is O-R, sometimes E, so R-E, bored. If we're not sure, we can look at our paper and see, isn't bored at all. And put a period at the end. Okay, and that is our lesson on problem and solution.